Welcome, sunny souls, to today's Reddit stories. I bring my doctor with me to the pharmacy. Posted by Intrepid Quantity 760. This summer I flew out of state to visit and vacay with an old friend who happens to be a doctor. When I got to his house and unpacked, I realized I had forgotten to bring a prescription medicine that I need to take every day. He said it was no problem and called a prescription into the pharmacy at /art. Then we went out hiking and playing and getting dirty, dressed kind outdoor scroungy. When we were done playing, we went to the pharmacy to pick up my pills. I went to the pharmacy counter while my doctor buddy stood back 6 behind me. It probably looked like he was the next customer in line behind me. Honestly, we both looked kinda grungy from a day of fun. The young lady behind the counter tried to look up my presc, and dismissively said she couldn't find any record of it in their system. Period. Frustrated, I sarcastically said, "Well, if my doctor was standing here, could he write this prescription for me?" She said yes. So I smiled, turned around, and motioned to my doctor buddy to come to the counter as I said, "Well, he's right here." He stepped up, identified himself, asked for a prescription pad, and wrote out my prescription. Not very malicious, but we guessed that was a first for her. Here is my AI opinion. I think it's hilarious. I would have done the same thing. The pharmacy tech probably didn't expect to see a doctor standing behind me, and she definitely didn't expect me to ask her if he could write the prescription for me. It's just a funny situation all around. What do you think about this story? Do you think it's hilarious too, or do you think it was inappropriate of me to ask the pharmacy tech to give my prescription to my doctor friend to write? What do you think the young lady behind the counter thought when she saw the grungy-looking doctor and patient standing in front of her? Do you think the sarcasm from the patient was necessary or appropriate in this situation? A comment from an individual Dornatman 543.
Reminds me of something in my family. My dad is a Dr. Obslashkin. My grandma is on oxygen and needs to have a doctor's note to fly with her oxygen concentration machine. Grandma did one trip where she flew one way with one airline and back with another multi-stage trip. When we dropped her off at the airport to go home, the check-in person said they couldn't accept the doctor's note because it was written on another airline's letterhead. They said, "This is exactly what we need, just on our letterhead. So if a doctor handwrote a note on your stationery, you'd accept it." I asked. They said yes. "Got any paper?" I asked, then shouted, "Hey Dad, can you come here for a sec?" The airline agent left to go find paper. It took a while, but eventually they returned. Dad wrote a note, and Grandma was able to get her flight. So, official document from my grandma's general practitioner. I'm acceptable. Handwritten letter by her OB/GYN son-in-law. Perfect.
And Marcella likes to add,
Waiting to get an inhaler for my son late at night. I'm sorry, but we don't carry the spacer that was ordered by the doctor and we're not allowed to substitute. We tried calling the office, but it's closed now. We can have the spacer in 2 days. You need a new script just for spacer? Give me a blank pad. It comes in very handy having a license. I have used it from time to time for my family, but fortunately not often.
if you want to listen to the latest Reddit stories, subscribing is the way to go. Just click that button and you'll never miss a video.
Interviewer accuses me of parking in the handicap spot and tells me to prove it. Posted by Invisibuni. A few years ago, while I was in school and job hunting, I got an interview at a company for office work. Filing, answering phones, setting appointments, etc. I was looking forward to getting an office job instead of retail or fast food. The building had big window walls that overlooked the parking lot so you could see cars pulling in and parking. I pull into the lot and park my car. I get out and walk into the office. Now as I am walking in, I note that there is a car parked in the handicapped space in the front of the office. This car looks just like mine, I should note. So I walk in and I am greeted by the manager, who kind of gives me a scowling look. It made me uneasy a little as we walked back to his office. We sit down and he is asking me questions in a bit of a clipped tone. He seems annoyed by my answers and I don't understand what's going on at this point. Finally he says, "Do you always park in handicapped spaces?" I am confused, so I ask him what he means. He goes on a rant about how entitled I am for parking in a handicapped spot at a potential place of employment, and I am just getting more lost. I asked him what is going on because I didn't park in the handicapped spot, I am parked in the lot. He argues with me and says he watched my car pull in and saw me park there. I again told him that I didn't park in a handicapped spot, but the car that I walked by in that spot looked similar to my car. He says that he knows that he saw me park and gets out of the car. At this point I am over the whole interview. I knew this would be a clusterfuck of a place to work for if this is the guy managing it. Then he goes a step further and says prove it. I grab my purse and get my keys out. I don't even bother waiting for him and just leave the office. He's jogging after me and hurried outside to stand and wait. His face went from smug arrogance to Pikachu real quick as I walked past the car in the handicapped spot. He asked me where I was going as I walked over to my car, then I turned around and made eye contact as I hit the button on my keys to unlock it and got in. He was starting to walk over to me, calling out that he was sorry about the misunderstanding, but I just put the car in reverse and left. I didn't even make eye contact with him as I drove away. Edited to add, this was my second interview, so the manager knows what I and my car look like. I don't know why he said he saw me. I'm assuming it was a lie to get me to admit I did it. I've pondered this many a night, trust me. Here is my AI opinion. This manager seems to have some serious issues and biases. First of all, he assumes that you parked in a handicap spot without even asking you any questions or checking with you first. This shows that he has already made up his mind about something before even hearing your side of the story. Additionally, he accuses you of being entitled and not caring about people with disabilities, which is a very judgmental thing to do based on one action or lack thereof. Furthermore, when you try to explain yourself and show him that he is mistaken, he doesn't listen and instead chooses to believe his own version of events. This is not only unfair but also unprofessional. It's understandable that you felt uneasy during the interview and decided to leave after that. It's important to work in a place where you feel respected and valued, and this manager does not seem to be someone who values diversity or understanding. You made the right decision by leaving and finding a better workplace culture. What do you think the manager's motivation was for accusing you of parking in the handicap spot? How did you feel during the interview, and how did your emotions change as the conversation progressed? A comment from Ms. Excel.
Great story and good save OP. Imagine what it would have been like working for him.
Yab737 likes to add.
An interview isn't just to see if you are hireable, it's to see if the company is worth working for. People forget that because modern day corporations act like you were blessed and kissed by God himself with the opportunity to work for them. You owe your entire life to them because at any moment they could not only make you jobless, but homeless too.
7-year-old Malicious Compliance. Posted by Traditional Mud 1241. So, this is me as a 7-year-old much more than 7 years ago. For context, this predates common use of mobile phones. I think about this situation from time to time and just now realized it was probably my first experience with malicious compliance, even if it wasn't strictly speaking malicious. In the second grade, mostly 7-year-olds, for those not in the US, I had one of those teachers who likes to single out a student for whatever inadequacies they are currently wrestling with, and I ended up in the principal's office quite a bit. The most recent occurrence, I was sent for a line about needing to go to the bathroom. Because the teacher was peeking outside the classroom on my way back, and I drank at the water fountain. Apparently, it was necessary for me to say I needed to ask if I could use the bathroom and get a drink of water. The principal ordered me to sign a parental form letter saying that I would never again lie to school staff. 2 days later, I forgot my homework at home. I was sent to the office for this. This time I was given a form saying that I had refused to do my homework. I drew a line through refuse and wrote forgot. So, the principal gave me another copy of the form and told me not to say I forgot. So I wrote a line through do my homework and wrote lie to school staff because I didn't refuse to do my homework. The principal started yelling at me and I just sat there saying nothing. Then he said, "Are you going to sign the form with no changes?" I said I promised you I wouldn't lie, I won't sign a lie. He said if that's your attitude, you might as well go home. So, I did. I sighed, stood up, went down the stairs and out the door. 20 minutes later, I was home. The principal called the police. The police called my parents. Nobody thought to check the place I was told to go. Eventually my mother got to the home with the police officer and I said I was told to go home, so I did. Then I explained the situation. The police officer asked me if I was lying and I told him about the first note. He looked disgusted, said well, he's safe, and left. The next day we had a meeting with the teacher, the principal, a truant officer and my parents. I said I'd accept any punishment they gave me, but I wouldn't lie about anything to any of them. The principal said I guess it was his favorite expression, if that's your attitude, you might as well go home. So, I did. There was yelling involved, but I left. A few days later I was at another school. I don't know what happened in the background. I was 7. Here is my AI opinion. This story is a great example of malicious compliance. The teacher and principal were trying to control the child's behavior by forcing them to sign a form promising not to lie, but the child found a way to comply with the letter of the law while still refusing to do what they were told. By drawing a line through refused and writing forgot, the child was able to technically tell the truth while still not doing what they were asked to do. The principal's reaction, yelling at the child and trying to force them to sign a form with no changes, only serves to reinforce the child's decision to comply in a way that is safe for them. This story also highlights the power dynamics at play in this situation. The teacher and principal were in positions of authority over the child, and they were using that power to try to control the child's behavior. However, the child was able to use their own agency and creativity to find a way to comply with the rules while still standing up for themselves. This is an important lesson in how to navigate situations where others are trying to control or manipulate us. Overall, this story is a great example of malicious compliance, and it highlights the importance of standing up for ourselves and finding ways to comply with rules while still being true to our own values and beliefs. What do you think about the principal's behavior? Do you think the child was maliciously compliant in this situation? Why or why not? A comment from Mr. Loisis Mythax.
Authority figure over child. Watches child take their words literally and follow their exact instructions. Chalk the catch your face.
Just Kim, not Kimberly, likes to add.
Adults should admit when kids are right. Otherwise, kids don't learn to apologize.
Thanks for tuning in today. Subscribe for more intriguing Reddit stories.